Okay, so yeah, welcome to Class Teams as a hub for distance learning. So my name is Brian Dvorak. I am an EdTech coach, and as you can see, I'm known for cosplay. I enjoy dressing up and having a good time, and uh, getting the crowds riled up when we have our student events in our school district. So I'm with Fresno Unified School District. This is in the central San Joaquin Valley of California. And Fresno Unified is the fourth largest district in our state. We have 73,000 students and just over 3,000 teachers. And so we're very big. We have a lot of challenges, but we are really, really excited that we are a Microsoft district and we have the Office 365 education platform and all of the amazing tools that has really saved us during the shelter-in-place time that we have spent, where we needed to have everyone shift to distance learning. So I also have, I'm on social media as myself, Brian Dvorak, but I'm also, we have social media for our Fresno Unified EdTech happenings. So you can also follow Fresno EdTech if you're interested in seeing and hearing about the things that we're doing. We're on all of these different social media platforms. I wanted to share with you a website that our EdTech team put together, and we built this during, as soon as shelter in place started, we all got together and built out this web page to support our teachers during the distance learning time. And so I wanted you to be aware of this, and I'll take you over to it right now so you can take a look. But what's really neat about this is, first of all, this is open to the public. So you can access this site now if you want to go in here and see some of the different resources that we've provided. But just so you know, my role, I'm an EdTech coach, and so I'm a former classroom teacher, but now my role is to get out and support teachers and get into classrooms and help them implement technology into their classrooms. And so, as I said, my team was tasked with putting together this page. And what we have here is a progression of topics really for getting yourself going with distance learning. And so you can go through this in an order and go through these resources, or you can jump into specific resources that you want to learn about. Also here on the right, you can dig into specific tools if you want to learn about those tools. But for example, today, what I'm going to be going over is a lot of this, talking about scheduling synchronous online instruction with teams, creating online instruction through video screencasting, developing independent digital activities. And so you can go through these after, after the fact, after this session, and you can access these resources to, take a look and dig in further. And really, a lot of this is the how-to of, how do I develop screencast? How do I create independent activities in Microsoft Teams? So this is all here. I wanted to call it out, let you know it's a great resource. There might be one or two links you find that are that you can't access because they're internal links to our internal intranet, but 99% of this is open to the public. So I wanted to share that with you all. All right, so getting back to our presentation. So our outcomes today, I want to touch on the nature of distance learning, and then we're going to talk about some of the distance learning strategies that we can utilize, and then how the Microsoft Teams features can be leveraged to implement these strategies. So let's talk about some of those key distance learning shifts that we've noticed. So when we went from brick and mortar classroom to online instruction, we sort of noticed some key shifts taking place. One was schedule. So the schedule of time, when students are with you, when students are engaging in the work. Another big change was human interaction. right? That became very minimal, obviously. And then digital learning became something that was much more intensified and increased. And in addition to that is asynchronous learning became much more common than synchronous learning, which I'll talk about in a second. And then finally, really as a result of this, we saw student ownership really increasing because students really had to take on more ownership in their learning. So synchronous versus asynchronous learning. I wanted to quickly touch on this to call out, the main difference here is that synchronous learning happens at the same time when we're all together. Like right now, we're all in this meeting at the same time going through this content. Whereas asynchronous learning, everyone's getting in at different times at their own pace and accessing the content. But the big shift we saw with distance learning is that when we're in an online setting, the asynchronous learning was increased, and it really took up most of the time for our students. All right, so now I want to talk about distance learning strategies really quick. And I'd like to engage you in this activity. And so if you can go to this website here, and I'll put it in the chat room so you can just click the link and get to here quickly and seamlessly. Okay, so I just posted it there. So you can click that link, and I'd just like you to quickly fill out, it's just a one-question survey. Click submit, and then we'll take a look at your responses there. And by the way, I created this survey with Microsoft Teams. I'm sorry, Microsoft Forms. And so I'm going to jump over there now while you guys are filling out the survey. And just to show of hands, if you are, you have the raise hand button on your toolbar in the bottom of our Teams meeting. If you are unable to get to the survey form, if you can raise your hand and let me know if you need some assistance with that. But you should be able to click that link right in the chat room that I shared, and it will take you right there. All right, I see we have 5 responses so far. So if you've, don't know if you've used Forms yet or not, but you can use this to create surveys, or you can use this to create quizzes or assessments. And this should be anonymous, so you should be able to just, without having to sign in, should be able to, and remember, you can select all that apply on this question. So if you've been experimenting with one or more of these strategies, go ahead and select all that apply. All right, so we have 5 responses so far. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here. So it looks like online meetings is the most common. We have 12 responses there for online meetings. So that's the most common one. Looks like the least common was utilizing HyperDocs for student playlist of tasks. And then everything else is kind of in between there. So pre-recorded instructional videos, online office hours, asynchronous online discussions, digital activities and assessments. All right, we got some more coming in. Yeah, so cool. So I am gonna, I'll spend a little bit more time then on HyperDocs to talk about that a little bit more and answer any questions. But it looks like I won't have to spend a ton of time on online meetings. All right, great. So jumping back over to our presentation, you can go ahead and come back into the meeting if you haven't. It should just, you should be able to just click back on the other tab to get back into the team meeting. So those distance learning strategies that were listed in the form there, These were sort of some key areas that we noticed teachers using as strategies. And what we did was we started to look at Microsoft Teams and how could Microsoft Teams support these strategies. And so what we saw is that instructional design, designing playlists through HyperDocs, could be leveraged using the Teams files area. Online meetings, of course, could be leveraged using the Teams meetings. Pre-recorded instructional videos could be posted in the team, and they could be created with other Office 365 tools like PowerPoint and Stream. Office hours for online meetings could be set up through Teams meetings or using the chat feature of Teams to be available to students whenever they have questions. And then asynchronous online discussions could take place through Teams posts. And then finally, digital activities and assessments could be done using the built-in assignments tool in Teams, and also through creating activities in Microsoft Forms and integrating them into Teams. So when I talk about Microsoft Teams as a hub for distance learning, really for all learning, whether you're in the classroom or learning online, you can really make it all happen within a class team. So let's look at the playlist idea by creating a hyperdoc. What you see are two examples here. On the left, we have a weekly playlist hyperdoc where all the days, all the activities for all days of the week are listed out, and the students can go through these. And you'll notice there's hyperlinks in the document there where they can click and go straight to some of those resources. On the right, we have an example of a daily hyperdoc playlist. And so what we saw was, really what we noticed in our district was that secondary teachers tended to use more of a weekly playlist, whereas elementary teachers preferred a daily playlist to go out. Okay, the next thing is talking about where you can add your hyperdoc. Your class team has a files area. So you can see in the screenshot, when you go to the files area in your general channel of your team, you're going to see a folder called class materials. And so in here, this folder is read-only to students, which is a necessary shift that we needed, because by default, everything else in your files area, everyone can edit. You and your students, everyone can get in there and make changes. So the class materials folder is important for something like a playlist document that you don't want them to be editing, but you definitely want them to access it and view it and access those links. So that's the place you can post your playlists. Now, the other thing we talked about was conducting those online synchronous meetings with your class. And so you can do this a couple of ways. You can schedule it in your calendar by going to your calendar button on the left-hand side of the team, and then up at the top right, you click New Meeting. And when you make a new meeting within Teams calendar, it automatically makes it an online Teams meeting, and we'll have that join meeting link. But then you need to add all your students and send, so they get an email and they get that event added to their calendars as well. Now, another way to do this is to schedule it as office hours, which I'll show you in a minute. The other exciting thing about our Teams meetings now is that they recently got upgraded to 9 videos at a time, but soon we will have 49 videos at a time, a 7x7 grid. So that's coming out soon. That's really exciting. And there's a lot of great features that you can leverage within your Teams meetings. So, we talked about, and you guys, just by a show of hands, raise your hand if you've actually used Teams meetings before and you've experimented with that. Just go ahead and raise your hand to show me if you've used it. If you've used Zoom or something else, go ahead and keep your hand down. I know Zoom has been very popular. It's been a great tool. Okay, so about really less than half of you, it looks like, have utilized the Teams meeting. So you can go ahead and lower your hands by clicking that hand icon again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go in here to our team meeting. And hi, everybody. There I am. So what I wanted to show you is you have some tools in here. So if you go to more actions, one of the things you'll see is you have the show background effects. And this is where you can change your background to suit the mood, or perhaps you want to create a setting that aligns with the content you're teaching. So you can actually now upload, you can click add new right here, and you guys can upload your own background image to go with your online meeting. And so those will always be stored here for you whenever you start a meeting. So you can see I've uploaded things like, you know, Dr. Seuss and Star Wars and some fun things there. So that's your backgrounds. Another thing you have in here, which you saw me do earlier, is start recording the meeting. They don't automatically record, so you got to make sure you remember to go in there and start your recording. The beauty of that is you teach a lesson in here with students, it gets recorded, your students can review it later, whether they just need the review or maybe they couldn't make it to the time you scheduled for your online meeting. They could still go in and watch it asynchronously and get the information. Another great thing here is turn on live captions. So if you have students with needs like that, they can turn on live captions during the meeting and be able to read what you're saying. So that is another great feature as well. And I'll go ahead and turn that off. And you can turn that on for yourself, by the way. You should be able to turn that on for yourself now. You all saw the raise hand tool, so that's good, a nice feature. And then the chat area we've been engaging in, but I wanted to show you some other cool things in chat. So let's say something was said in here that maybe a link was shared that you're really excited about. Like, oh, look, Winjira shared the website that I was talking about earlier. Thank you, Winjira. So let's say I really want to remember this website that was shared here in chat. You can see when I mouse over her post, I can like it and I can use those emojis. But if I click this drop down here and go to more options, I have save this message. And so when I click save this message, it's actually going to store it in my profile up here. And I can get back to that by going to my profile and going to saved, and that'll show me all of my saved messages that I've clicked on. So that stores those for you. Another neat thing in here is, let's mouse over this one. When you go to the more dropdown, you can translate it. So if you have students who need translation supports, that's in there. We also have Immersive Reader. Immersive Reader is fabulous for, Immersive Reader can also translate, but it plays back the audio. It plays back, or reads back rather, the text for the participant.
Winborn Cheryl D. Guest at Tuesday, July 7th, 2020, 5:05 p.m. Will you please provide the link in the chat?
So another great tool, and you can come over here and customize how the text looks. You can look at parts of speech and syllables. You can turn on line focus, and here's your translate as well. So a lot of great tools within Immersive Reader, and I'm going to back out of that. But yeah, what a great tool. It's built into so many areas of Office 365. All right, now another thing I want to show you in chat is we can do an instant poll. So, you know, I asked you guys earlier about your use of Teams. I can actually go in here, I can click. So I'm down here at the bottom where all these icons are. We have emojis, animated GIFs. But if I go here to more, there's a poll feature. So I'm just going to search for poll. There's also one called Polly that's also for polling, but I'm just going to do the basic one called poll. And I have to add this quickly. The first time you use it, you have to add it as basically like a plugin. But you add it the first time, and it'll always be there. Now I can shoot out a question. Are you enjoying the session? Yes, no, meh. And I can preview this and then send it out. And that's going to pop up now right in our meeting, online meeting chat. And so you guys can respond right there, click submit your votes, and boom, another great way to engage your audience. And all I have to do is click view results here to take a look at the results coming in on this poll you just took. So another great tool as part of meetings. Now, participants. So right here is your participants button in your toolbar. When I go in here, I can see how many attendees do I have and who they are, and scroll down the list. And then I can also, I have this mute all option. So let's say, you know, I'm online here with my students and a bunch of them have their mics on. I can just quickly mute all to hush the crowd. Another thing that you'll have in here is a way to download attendance. And this is something that a lot of teachers asked for. It came out recently, but this way you can actually record the attendance by downloading a spreadsheet of all the folks who attended. And it'll even show you timestamps of when they joined, if they left and came back, and what those timestamps are as well. The other thing here is I might want to promote one of the attendees to be a presenter so they can share their screen. I can click on the More menu next to someone's name and make them a presenter. That way they could then share their screen. I can remove the participant if they're just being rowdy and not being compliant. And then the last one is pin. So pin, you might want to pin somebody to your view here on your screen, and also pin them to the top of the list. All right, so let's jump back. Those are all the features, some of the key features within Microsoft Teams. Another one is when you're sharing. So the share button in a meeting, I can't do this, well, actually I can. Let me stop sharing. And then now it just says share. So I'm going to click the share button. Oh, yeah, I can't show you this. But what this is giving me now is an option to share my entire desktop, anything I want, any window I want. I can select a specific window. I can select a PowerPoint presentation. But another thing it has is whiteboard. And when I run whiteboard, this is going to run for everybody. You're going to see a whiteboard pop up here on our screen. And I'm going to be able to start drawing on the board here with digital ink. And so if you got a touch screen device, you can go in here and start working with your students on some math problems or whatever you want to do. I could say, okay, everybody write your answer to this problem anywhere on the screen and write your initials next to it. And so you could go ahead and go in here and click on the pen. I don't know if you're all seeing that or not, but you could click on the pens there and write on the board, and we can collaborate together. So this is another good feature of Microsoft Teams meetings. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and we're going to jump back into our presentation here. All right. So another piece to this is pre-recording instruction, right? Because we know that there's a lot of asynchronous learning going on where maybe we can't get all the students together at the same time. So we need to start pre-recording instruction. Now you can do that through recording your Teams meeting like I showed you, but you can also now, you can do screencasts where you record your computer screen like a PowerPoint or whatever you have. And by the way, this is built right now into PowerPoint. In the Insert Media tab in the ribbon, you'll find screen recording right here. It's also now built into Microsoft Stream, which we like. So Stream is another app in Office 365 where we can host videos. Well, now, not only can you upload a video you created, but you can click record screen right here, and you can do a screen recording, and it will store it right on Microsoft Teams. I mean, Microsoft Stream, so you don't have to bother with the upload process. And then you can make that, copy that link and make it available to your students. Another thing we've seen is teachers recording themselves using their camera app in Windows 10. So they can run the camera app with their front-facing camera, read to the students or whatever they want to do, and another way to, provide that human connection as well, to show your face, especially in a distance learning scenario. All right, so let me pause here and ask you, what tools have you used? Because I know there's a lot out there, right, for screencasting. So what other tools have you used or are you familiar with for creating screencast videos? Go ahead and share those right now in our chat space. Screencastify, Loom, Camtasia, PowerPoint, a lot of Screencastify. Yeah, that's a nice one. Plugs right into your Google Chrome browser. Screencast-O-Matic, yeah. That's a free online one for up to 15 minutes. Zoom, yeah, record in a Zoom meeting. Flipgrid, yes. Flipgrid now has screen recording as well. Love it. Screencastify, PowerPoint, awesome. So yeah, a lot of different tools out there you can leverage to make your instructional videos. And you might have how-to videos just to help show students how to do specific things on the computer. All right, so scheduling office hours, I mentioned this earlier. So one of the nice things about Teams is you can schedule Teams meetings within a channel. And when you do that, it will make it available within the team, and it can be a recurring event. So if you're deciding, like, I'm going to have office hours daily at 10 a.m., you can schedule that out so it happens every weekday at 10, and you just let your students know to go into the channel and click and get into the meeting to join you and ask questions and connect with you. So that's another great feature, which I'm going to show you actually in a minute. We're going to get into a team. Okay, facilitating asynchronous discussions. This can be done in the posts area of any channel. When you click into a channel, you land in the posts area, which is a stream of information, and you can set you can create prompts, and the students can all go in there and reply to each other and have a great online discussion. And it can be synchronous or asynchronous. Facilitating assignments. So again, there's an assignments tool built right into class Teams. So you can go in here and build out an assignment with detailed instructions. You can provide a file, and every student gets their own copy of that file that they can edit and then turn into you. You can also add more resources if you want them to watch a video first, or read a PDF, or go to read an article. All kinds of cool options in here. The other thing you can leverage in Teams are the channels. And so what we've seen is our teachers started to come up with all kinds of creative ways to utilize channels. We saw a lot of elementary teachers would create channels for each subject they teach, right? So they'd have an ELA channel, a math channel, science, etc. We saw teachers creating recess channels where the students could go in an online situation where they don't actually have a recess. This was a channel where they could go in and just have conversations about, just socialize, basically. We saw technology support channels, which was really nice. And this is where the teachers would post their how-tos screencast videos for the students to get that technology help, because they realized they were having to explain to over and over the same thing, right? How to get into their assignment and turn it in. And so creating that one video that they can just leave there and let them watch was a huge time saver. We saw social emotional activities in channels to, create activities to, because of that lack of that human interaction. That was another thing we saw. That was, and there's all kinds of ways you can leverage channels, and you'll find different ways and come up with different strategies. Okay, surveys and assessments. This can be done with Microsoft Forms, which is in Office 365. You can create a survey for the purpose of, collecting feedback, but you can also create quizzes that will self-correct. And the other neat thing here is over on the right, you can see where you can integrate a form quiz into a team's assignment. So that's a neat piece as well. And then finally, you can integrate any content you want that's out on the web. If it's a hyperlink, you can integrate it in. So you might use Clever in your school districts. In ours, we use Clever as a way to have single sign-on and rostering. But you can see here that a teacher can add Clever as a link at the top of their team, and the Clever website loads right within Teams. The students don't even have to leave the Teams interface. So you can add anything out there that's on the web. And you'll find in there that you can also add other apps that are integrated, such as Flipgrid, Pear Deck is another one, Nearpod. Those can all be integrated right into your team. All right, so I'm going to jump over now and show you what this looks like in a real team. So I have a team here that I created as a demo. It's called it Dvorak Room 17. And when you create a class team, you can customize it. And by the way, when you create a class team, you're going to start up here at Join or Create. And then you're going to make sure you create a team. But then there's 4 types of teams you can create. So make sure you choose class team, because class team will have the assignments. It will have the class notebook. It will have that read-only class materials folder. So make sure you choose class when you create that class team. All right, so I'm going to go in here to Dvorak Room 17. So here's my general channel. Here's my posts area. And you can see that I've created a bunch of channels for different purposes. All right, and some of them have padlocks next to them. The reason for that is you can make your channels private. And so, for example, here, these groups, I only wanted certain students to access this channel, right? Only the group 1 students should have access to this. So I made it private, and I made it so only those students could access. And you simply do that when you go up here to your More menu next to your team name. You go to Add Channel, and you name your channel. But down here under Privacy, you're going to choose Private. And that way, on the next screen, you then add the students that you want to have access to that channel. And then the other thing I did was I made this teacher-only channel where I'm the only one who can access it. My students can't get to this. They don't even see it, right? It's not even there. And so this is a place where I can go and I can prepare files for use in the class. All right, so back to the general channel. And as I said, there's a posts area, and this is where you can set up conversations. But what you'll notice about in the general channel is this is really a stream of everything that's happening in the class. So as I create assignments, they show up here in the stream. If I upload a new file, it shows up here in the stream. I did a survey here. So this is really kind of a stream of everything that's going on. Now, if I'm a student and I go in here, let's just do a day in the life of the student, okay? I'm gonna pretend that I'm the student. I come in here And I know it's the start of the week, and I know that my teacher puts the files, the hyperdocs in the files area. So I'm going to click into files. And I know that the teacher puts it here in class materials. And so I'll go into that folder. And let's pretend this is the week of May 4th. I'm going to go into the May 4th folder. So here my teacher has organized the documents for May 4th. So we have the schedule, this is actually the hyperdoc. And then we have the welcome video. So I just did a quick welcome message, uploaded the video here, and I used this with my camera app, my front-facing camera. So the students can open this up and play it back and hear that message. Or I could also add a link in my hyperdoc. I could add a link to the video, and that could pop up and play as well. Looks like it's just taken a bit to load here. But I'm going to close that. And I'm going to go back now into the hyperdoc to show you that. So all I did was under new, you can create new folders. So I created a folder for the week of May 4th. And then once I drill into that folder, I can now upload files here. So I had created that file, and I just went to upload files, and then I browsed to the file and got that uploaded. Another thing you could do is start your file from scratch. If you are starting it right now, you can go to new Word document and start your new file. So here's what this one looks like, the May 4th schedule. So again, I built this out in Word. It's pretty standard. You know, I use tables. I listed my office hours here at the top of when I'm available. Schedule of tasks. So here's Monday, and I have another table here, subject, tasks, and then notes. And so some of these are hyperlinks, right? And so I essentially, anything that I could hyperlink to, I basically highlighted. In fact, this could have been a hyperlink here. Go to posts in the ELA channel and respond to the essential question. But you get your hyperlink, and then you select the text that you want to link to. And you can right click on it here, or you can go to insert link, and then you can paste in that URL here, so that it becomes a clickable link. And so the students can go through here and they can see, the first thing I do is show what you know. Complete the show what you know assignment in the assignments area. And then the notes here, it says complete prior to 11. I put that because our class meetings are at 11, so I want to make sure they've done this piece. So now they go to the assignments area, and so they close out of this file, and they're back to our team's home, and they can go to assignments, and here they'll see all the assignments for the class. And here is that show what you know activity. And you notice I code the assignments, and I recommend doing this when you make your assignments. This is Unit 6. Writing, grade 4, and forget what the V's for, but and then it's the show you what you know activity. But I took this activity right out of their curriculum, and I know the V's for vocabulary. So I took this right out of their curriculum, and I created I actually created a form for this. And so what the student view looks like is this. So they'll see, click on the link to complete the show what you know survey. So they go in here, and actually you'll see this is 0 points because this isn't I'm not going to grade this. This is just an activity, sort of like a pre-activity to see what they know. So they follow this link. This takes them to the form I made, which is integrated, which is loading right here in Teams. You notice we're still in Teams, we haven't left. And they can fill this out and complete the survey. All right, and they can even review results to see if they got them right or not. Oh, I didn't do very well on that. And so just like I showed you earlier with Microsoft Forms, when I go to my Forms app and I go to all of my forms, here's that show what you know. So I can go in and see all the responses and see how the students did with that activity. The toolbar's in the way. There it goes. Okay, so back to Teams. I'm going to close out of this as the student. I've submitted that. And oh, notice here too, this has Immersive Reader built in right here. So they can click this little icon and have this the instructions read back to them. Immersive Reader is also built into Forms. So when you're actually in the form, you can click Immersive Reader to have it played back. So here's the there's an Immersive Reader icon next to every question in a form. All right, so the student completed that activity. Now they can go back to the HyperDoc to see the playlist. And what I did to make it easier for them to access is I actually added, instead of them having to drill back into files and drill into class materials, I added it as a link at the top here. You can add, this is where you can add anything you want. I added Clever, and to show you again that Clever loads right in here. But if I click on 3 more, I've added, one of the links I added was this week of May 4, which is our playlist for the week. And so they can get back to that a lot faster at the top of the team. So now the student goes in and they said, oh, okay, now I got to watch this weekly opener video in Wonders. Wonders is our district curriculum for ELA. And so I've just linked to a resource on that website. And I just control click. That's going to load for me in a different tab. So because it's in the Wonders curriculum there. And so I get over that to that and I can access that material. Now it's not, I'm a teacher, so actually I'm not a teacher or a student, so I'm not going to have access to that material, but, or actually I think it's because we're off session that's not accessible right now. But there's a lot of resources in there that you can link directly to, and you'll probably find that in your online curriculum as well. So after they watch that video, they go to the posts area in the ELA channel and respond to the essential question. So they go over here to the ELA channel, which is set up here. And so each channel you make has its own posts area and its own files area. So this is a nice way to differentiate the types of online conversations you're having and online activities. So here is their essential question. What has been the role of money over time? And if you click see more here, you'll notice I've actually I've fleshed out the criteria for success, right? So remember to use your academic voice, respond to the posts of at least 5 classmates. When responding, explain why you disagree or agree. Type @ in the person's name when replying to classmate. No animated GIFs or emojis allowed in this discussion, right? So I set clear expectations for how to interact with this. And so they could reply. And you notice, I gave them instructions too, because they'll need to know, at least initially when they start using this, how to respond to someone. So when I'm responding to someone, I actually have to type @ and then select the person's name. And then I can type response to that person. And send it. And then you actually, there are ways to turn off GIFs, the use of animated GIFs in your class settings. When you go here to your next to your team name, if you go to Manage Team, and then you go to Settings, so you're going to see in here Fun stuff. Under fun stuff is the emojis and the animated GIFs. And so these are all selected, meaning all of my students can use those tools, but you could actually turn these off. I could turn off stickers and memes. I can turn off Giphy, which is the animated GIF tool. And then I could always come back in here and just turn them back on again if I want the students to be using them. So you do have some controls in here as a way to keep students on task. All right, so I'm going to go back to the general channel and to the HyperDoc. So week of May 4. Go to your calendar in Teams to find the meeting event and join link. So they wander over here to the calendar. And the way I set this up was I actually, and I have to jump all the way back to May to see this, but I actually set this up as a meeting that I added all students to the meeting and sent it out. But they would come in here to their calendar, they would see the class meeting here. They can then click on that and then join. And they would join me in that online meeting. Okay, I'm going to go back to Teams. Back to the HyperDoc. So we did our online meeting. Notice I put here, wear headphones if possible, find a quiet place to attend. Right, so give them some tips there for how and where to attend the meeting. So, and you can see this playlist goes on. We have reading, writing, math, and the student can go at this at their own pace. They could even jump around. Maybe a student wants to get to that math activity because he loves math. So there's that option as well. So it personalizes this a little bit, and it also provides that self-paced, personalized learning experience. Now, let's say the student says, you know what, I need some help with some of these activities, and I'm going to go ahead and go to I know that my teacher has his class hours now. So what we have over here is a channel called Office Hours. And so in the Office Hours channel, I scheduled a meeting that occurs daily. You can see it says occurs every workday, Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock. So I would launch this as the teacher. I would go in here and I would click join. And once I click join, the students are then going to see, when they go in here, they're going to see that the meeting has started, and they'll see a join button right here on this purple bar, and they'll be able to get right in. And then I also put information here just about other ways they can reach me. So they can also use the chat area at the top left and reach me at any time. And so the chat is up here on our toolbar at the left. And with chat, you can go in and click the pencil here, start a new chat with anyone. So the student can type my name in here at the top, find me, and send me a message. And then as soon as I see that pop up, I can then get in and respond to that student. So this is an asynchronous way to help students. But if you're both in there at the same time, it could become a synchronous session with each other. All right, so we're going to go back to the general channel. We'll go back to assignments. I'm going to show one more here. So this one is, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to our HyperDoc. So this one is the math assignment. And the way I did the math assignment is first I have them watch a math on the spot video. So that links to their math online curriculum, and that opens in another tab. So they can watch, our math curriculum is really nice because they actually provide screencast type tutorials within the curriculum. So that's something that the student could watch, then they could come back to do the activity. So complete the personal math trainer activity in Go Math, and then complete a Flipgrid activity in the assignments area on liquid measurement. So this one I added up here in assignments. And show of hands if you guys use Flipgrid. Just use your hand raise tool to show me if you're a Flipgrid user. Awesome. Yeah, it looks like most of you. Cool. So this is the assignment here, M12.7. Again, I'm coding it. It's Math, Chapter 12, Lesson 7. So, and the reason I code them is so that when you're talking to students about assignments they may or may not have finished, or they want to redo, you can ask them, well, what's the number, right? What's the code? Because if they just say my math assignment, you know, that could be anything. So that's helpful to have that coding as you're talking with your students about them. So when I go into this activity, and let's go to the student view so you see what that looks like. So again, you notice this is integrated right into the assignment. I have this Flipgrid link. So their instructions are, which is greater, 1 gallon or 5 ounces? Use measuring cups from the kitchen to show and prove your answer. Click the link below to begin. So they click Flipgrid, and this is basically a link to my grid. Actually, it's a link right to the activity topic. So they log in with Microsoft because I set up our district domain. Excuse me. And so now they go in here, and the instructions are here again, and then they can click record response. As all of you know, as you saw your hands come up. I can't really demo this right now because I'm already using my camera in the Teams meeting. But basically, I'd be able to allow my browser to use the camera, and then I could do that recording and turn it in. And the fun thing about Flipgrid is, well, one, it's fun, but two, you get to you get all the students on a grid with their recordings, and you can go in there and view their responses. They can view each other's responses, and then you can give them feedback that's either written, or your feedback can be done through a video response of your own back to the student. And so when I go in here to my account, I can drill down into a topic or activity, and I can see all of the, again, responses that have occurred by all the students, and I can preview them, or rather review them. And then here off to the right, I can give the written feedback, and then I can email the feedback to them or copy a link to it and send it to them. And then down here, I could actually reply with a video of my own. So it's a very powerful tool. And someone mentioned earlier that you can now screencast here in Flipgrid. So definitely check that out and set it up to use. And this is great for distance learning too, because again, we're seeing faces. It helps bring back that human element. All right, so that we're pretty much getting to our time here. There's so much more about this I could show you, but I hope you got the idea of seeing how you can, provide your HyperDocs here with your playlist of activities. You can have your meetings here for the online synchronous instruction. You can create activities that they can do self-paced on their own, and you can add in all kinds of things. So, and just to show that one more time, well, I didn't really show this, but you know how I added the Clever tab right here? So the way that's done is I click on this plus tab, this plus icon up here, And by doing that, it allows me to, at first it's going to show me all of the apps that are already easily integrated in. So if there's an app you use, such as Nearpod, you can search Nearpod, it comes right up, and you can add that in. If you don't find the app that you use, simply get a link to that website. And then you can add it here by choosing this website tile. When you choose the website tile, you then name it. So let's just pretend I was adding our clever portal here. Oh, I already have a tab named that way, so let me provide a different one. And then I would need to go to that website. Actually, let me just put the on-demand resources here. Let's see. Let's go back one. Okay, copy that. So I copy the URL and I paste it here. And then I'll call this distance learning courses. You can also post it to the channel. That again, that post area in the general channel is a stream of everything that's going on. So if you want to notify your students in that stream that this has been added, you can leave that checked. And then I save. And now there it is. It is a link at the top of my team, and you can see it loads right here within Teams. If for some reason sites don't load, you can click on the globe here, go to website, and what that'll do is open it in a new tab. And then you also have a refresh button here, similar to your browser refresh button, but Teams has a refresh button built in right here. All right, folks, I went over a lot, and it was fast and furious. There are a couple minutes left. If there are any questions that you guys have that I could answer quickly here in the last couple of minutes, go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll let you turn on your mic and ask your question. And if your hand's still up, go ahead and lower it by clicking the hand raise again. Okay, I see YT. YT is Yasuhiko. You have your hand up. Go ahead and turn on your mic. Or did you just lower it? Do you, have you unmuted yourself? Clicking on your microphone to unmute? All right, I see Kim Wood has her hand up. Kim, do you have a question?
I do. Can you hear me?
Sure. Yeah.
Did you make any use of the class notebook when you were using your class team? It seems what you've showed us didn't include that, and I just didn't know if you also had experience or knowledge in that area.
In this demo, I did not, but I do have experience. Class notebook, really, we need a whole hour session on that because there's a lot to it. But it is a great way to organize class information and resources. And the beauty of it is that every student gets their own section where they can go in and capture their own notes. You can also push out activities to them within the class notebook. You can distribute copies of pages. And the way I coach teachers is I have them, create a landing welcome page that has general information about their class that the students could always access. And then this is also a place you could have your playlist. So you could have you can see these are pages I have for each day of the week. This is where you could build out your HyperDoc as well. It's another option for doing that. And you can see here the students have their own sections. So Jean is a student of mine. I can go drill into her class notes and see what she's doing in there and give her feedback, or I can look at her activities that I've pushed out to her. But yeah, this is another big piece to class teams. It's a very robust app, and there's a lot to it. So I didn't really have time to go into it here. I did want to show too that you made me think of something I forgot to share. Was one of the activities I had in my playlist was for them to do. It was their social studies work. And so I mentioned earlier I had these group channels here on the left. They go to files, and then in the files area, so group 1 has like 4 students. Only 4 students can access this. So they go in and they see their PowerPoint. I uploaded a template here for them. They go in here, open the PowerPoint, and they can now collaborate on this. I put all the instructions on the first slide, and then I even created all the default slides they need. So put your group name here, put your geographic regions here, right? And everything's set up. So this was meant for their collaboration space. Anyway, I went off on a tangent there, but I wanted to show that to you guys. Thanks for that question, Kim. That was great. All right, Maria Guerrero, you have your hand up. Did you want to ask a question? No? Okay, how about Celia Taylor? I see your hands up.
Yes,
Did you have a question?
I do. So I am a media specialist, and I've been conducting a book study all summer long. But I've been just using my general channel, like my videos. I've been using Stream to record, of course. And then, is there a way that I can move all that stuff from a general channel to just a new channel?
Yeah, good question. And one of the things I did was I made a channel called Class Meeting Recordings. You can see that here.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I actually manually took all the links to my meetings and I posted them in here. So the students can go back, it's archived in order, and they could go back and watch these. Because when you record your meeting, it stores it on Microsoft Stream.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can go to Microsoft Stream and get the link. And what you do is you go to office.com home, right, where you log on to Office 365.
No, I know how to do that. It's just because we've been chatting and all the other stuff on that general channel, I would love to move it all to just, let's say, right, so like if I created a book study channel, to move all that stuff to there. So then I can continue to use the general channel for my group for other things.
Yeah, well, you would have to copy it. So
okay.
I'm trying to see if I have one here, but you'd have to copy the link that's in general and then go to that new channel and paste it in.
I paste it in, okay.
And then you can delete out any post. So
so like the chat, because there's a lot of resources that all of us have been adding to the chat, and we can always return back here to get those. I don't want to delete them if I can't move them to the new channel.
Gotcha. Yeah. Just make sure because remember, you can have your meetings within specific channels.
Right.
So yeah, make sure you're having them in the channels where you want them to appear.
Yeah, I didn't do that, but so moving forward, I will do that.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we learn as we go, we just got to dig in and play with it.
All right, thanks so much.
Great question. Thanks, Celia. All right, well, we got to wrap up here, but I'm going to open it to one more question. Let's see, we have, let me go to my participants view. Deborah Smith, did we answer your question? Deborah, did you want to ask a question? You want to turn your mic on? Okay. All right, well, we'll wrap it up. Thank you all for being here. I want to remind you that you can access this content. Let's see, the recording is going to be made available on the Global EdTech Academy website, so you'll be able to play this back again. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Twitter at Brian Dvorak. And let's see, let me go back to yeah, so there's my contact info there. And again, the webinar you'll be able to play back. Remember the website. Oh, and the other thing I'll do is I'll upload this PowerPoint to the chat room right now, so you can actually access that file. So what I can do is I can go back to our team meeting, and I can go into chat, and look, I can attach a file right here. So I will upload this so that you have the file. Oh, the file's in use. Let's close it. All right, thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful day or rest of your evening. And I hope you enjoy using class teams.